my name is Steve Mazan, and this is my Star Wars The Force Awakens story. There are some spoilers in it, so if you haven't seen the Star Wars movie yet, it's been out for like 6 months. I don't think you're a real Star Wars fan, so I don't really care if it's spoiled for you. But here's the story. I actually went and saw the movie the date it opened. It premiered December 18th, 2015, but I saw it the night before. I live on the West Coast, so my wife and I were able to go see it. We're big fans. So we went and saw it the night before, late night Thursday, and loved it. It was a great movie. We get home afterwards, and she gets a text from her friend. And her friend says that friend's husband, Clark, is going to see it the next day. He had bought 10 tickets for a big group, and they have an extra ticket. Would I want to go with and see the movie again? So I tell my wife, oh, wow, I really liked it, and that's nice of them, but I've seen the movie. I don't want to see it twice in 24 hours. That's a little much. And listen, it's the first day. It's the first day. They're going to be able to find someone to give that ticket to. And my wife is like, no, you should go. You should go with them. Wife's girlfriend, they always want you to hang out with their girlfriends or wives, buddies, husbands, so that you can all do stuff together, right? And he's a great guy, Clark. So I was like, all right, you know what? I'll go if they can't give away the ticket. And then I think about it for a couple more minutes, and I'm like, you know what? Christmas is coming up. We don't need to spend another $15, okay? I just saw it. I don't need to blow another $15. My wife's like, no. It's a free ticket. They have an extra ticket. Just go. And I was like, all right, you know what? If they can't get rid of the ticket, tell them to try and get rid of the ticket. If you can't get rid of the ticket, then I'll go. All right? So fast forward to the next morning. Clark calls me at 7 a.m. I make my living as a stand-up comedian. I sleep till 10 till noon, somewhere in that range. So 7 a.m. is like calling, I would assume most of you, at about 3 in the morning. So I wake up, I'm like, what's going on? Is it 9/11 again? What? I don't know. I think it's an emergency. He's like, hey, you coming today? He's been up for a couple hours, apparently. I was like, yeah, listen, again, like I told my wife, you can't get rid of the ticket. He goes, no, the ticket's yours. It's yours. I was like, well, I saw it last night. It's opening day. There's going to be a lot of people. I'll go, but really, you should try and give it to someone who hasn't seen it. He's like, no, well, I'll try, but it's your ticket. And then I even told him, I was like, you know what, I have a gig today. I have a corporate gig this afternoon in the OC, which is about an hour away from where I live. And I was like, I want to make sure I get back in time. I don't want to waste this ticket for you. He goes, no, the traffic's going to be fine. You're going to make it back. Okay. He calls me probably 3 or 4 more times throughout the day to tell me and double check. He hasn't gotten rid of the ticket. It's mine, that kind of thing. Each time I'm like, you sure? You probably give the ticket away. I'm worried about it. So I end up making it back in time. He calls me an hour before. He's like, hey, you back in LA? And I was like, I'm back. And he's like, all right, we'll see you there at 5 o'clock. All right, so I get to the theater. This is where it gets interesting. He introduces me to the 8 or 9 other people in his group. The nicest people. They're kind of, in a V as I walk in, to the place. They're V, he's here, and then everyone's there. He's introducing me to people on both sides of the V, and they're so nice. They're like, hi, Steve, nice to meet you. How do you know Clark? Blah, blah, blah. The nicest people you could ever meet, except for one guy. The one guy right at the end of the V, like the furthest from me, okay? He's not as nice as everyone else. In fact, he doesn't say a word, right? His name's Thurman. Thurman. Yeah, who names their kid Thurman, right? Okay, listen, this is an adult named Thurman. That's weird enough. Think about it, 30 or 40 years ago, there was a baby named Thurman. Okay, who names their kid Thurman? I don't understand. A baby Thurman? I don't buy it. So anyways, Thurman looks at me when everyone else is like, hey, this is Steve. They're like, nice to meet you. When Thurman, he says, Clark says, hey, this is Steve. Thurman looks at me and goes, $15. And I'm like, huh? He goes, $15. And so I look at Clark and I'm like, what's he talking about? Clark says, oh, you know what, he's the guy that bought the tickets. You owe him $15. All right, listen, I didn't even want to be here, and now I'm here, and now I'm going to be out the $15 that I didn't want to spend. But listen, I'm a nice guy. I don't know if that's coming through. I pride myself on being a nice person 99% of the time, but I think even nice people lose it at some point. So I want you, as I spin the rest of this story, tell me at what point you would have lost it. So I didn't lose it here. I was like, all right, look, this is my wife's friend's husband. Don't ruin it in front of his friends. So I reach in my pocket. I was like, you're out $15. What are you doing? I reach in my pocket, pull out. I have 4 singles. That's it. That's all I have on me cash-wise. I expect at this point someone to be like, oh, no, don't worry about it. Get it later. You can pay us later. No, not a big deal. Next time I see you, give me the $15. No, Thurman's still just staring at me. So I'm like, oh, I got 50. Let me tell you about Thurman. I look at Thurman, and Thurman, nice guy. Not a nice guy. I don't know why I'm saying that. See, I'm trying to be nice. He's not a nice guy. I look at Thurman. He's wearing a Boba Fett T-shirt, right? Okay, which is fine. He's in his 30s, 40s. It's cute on a little kid, but as you get older, I'm a Star Wars fan. I have Star Wars shirts too, and feel free to make fun of me. But in this moment, all I can think is, you know what? Boba Fett didn't have man boobs. Okay, he didn't. That's one thing I know. But it wasn't Boba Fett, and so I'm looking at him. And I'm thinking about snapping at that point, and I don't. And so I say, "Hey, how about I buy you some snacks? I'm going to get some popcorn and drink. I'll buy a popcorn, drink, and candy." And this is what he says. He goes, "I don't eat that shit." Okay, let me tell you. Just by looking at Thurman, he eats that shit. Okay, I eat that shit, and other people. You know what I mean? Like kind. He said, I eat that shit, he eats that shit, you can just tell. So he goes, I don't eat that shit. So I'm like, okay, well, that's funny. So then I'm like, well, I guess we're at a stalemate here. Well, this is when Thurman comes up with his idea. Thurman says to me then, there's a bank across the street. So he wants me to walk, it's 5 minutes till the movie starts, walk across the street, get money, and bring it to him before the show starts. It's very important to him, apparently. And so I'm like, oh, Jesus. All right, I didn't snap. Again, I just walked across the street cursing to myself, not losing it. And I go to the ATM. I get a 20 out of the ATM. And, of course, the first thing I think is, I got a $20 bill. Thurman, from what I've told you so far, Thurman's not going to have a 5. He's not going to have a 5 to give back to me, right? He's not going to have that, from what I've told you, right? Isn't that obvious? So I go inside the bank, and I say to the teller, hey, I just took some money out of the ATM. Can you break this for me? Give me 4 5s. The bank teller says, do you have an account here? No, I don't have an account here. She says, I can't break it. And I was like, oh, God, come on, listen, this is my story. I was like, listen, I'm going to see Star Wars. I tell her the whole story. I'm like, my wife wanted me to go see it with her friend, a friend's husband. I go over there. I get there. I meet this guy. I meet Thurman. Thurman's being introduced. She's like, Thurman? Who names their kid Thurman? I was like, exactly. And she goes, okay. So she understands the whole story. She's nice. She breaks it. She's like, all right, I'm not supposed to do this, but here's 4 5s. She gives me 4 5s. I walk back out the bank. I walk over to the theater. Guess who's waiting outside the theater for me? Thurman. Yeah, so I get there, Thurman waiting outside the theater for me, and I'm just boiling out, and Thurman says to me, you got the money? He saw me walk from the bank, right? He saw me walk out of the bank. He's been waiting for it. He goes, you got my money? And I said, yes, here's your $15. Han Solo dies. I don't know if you have ever seen a grown man in a Boba Fett T-shirt in the fetal position on the ground crying, but that's pretty close to what happened. And I ruined that for him. I ruined the Star Wars Force Awakens for him before he saw it, minutes before he saw it. Did I go too far? I'm going to let you be the judge. Let me know what you think. May the Force be with you.